On the workbench today I have what I hope to be a very short repair. This is an Epiphone Les Paul Custom in Silverburst. It is, quite an aesthetically pleasing guitar, but unfortunately it has the dreaded headstock crack. I'm going to try and get this in here. As beloved as the Les Paul design is, it does have the design flaw where if the guitar crashes down, and it usually doesn't even have to be that hard, if it hits the headstock, you can actually snap the headstock. In this case, I got fairly lucky with this guitar. I bought it broken. I didn't break it myself. The break is not all the way through the neck, and it is a very long break. When I say long, it's possible to actually shear the headstock straight off. In that case, you're trying to glue together end grain to end grain, which doesn't work very well. This one is a much more angular break, and so you have a much better gluing surface to put this together. And so what I'm going to do is just take my regular wood glue, wick it into the headstock, clamp it down, and hopefully that should be all the repair this needs. As people say all the time, wood glue is actually stronger than the wood, and so I'll get plenty of glue in there, clamp it up, and then like I said, hopefully it's the case that when I put string tension on the neck, the guitar stays in tune and no other repairs will be needed. As you can hopefully see, when I flex the headstock just a little bit, you can start to see that the gap opens up right here. And so what I'm going to do is put just the right amount of pressure, hopefully, to open this gap up. And then I'm going to use my wood glue. I'm going to flood the glue in there, basically try and get as much as I can, and then move this back and forth just a little bit. The capillary action of this, because the two pieces are so close together, will actually start pushing the glue in. And if I'm successful, it looks like the crack goes up to this point. Hopefully I can put glue in down here, but start to see squeeze out all the way, through the joint. I also have a silicone brush here that I can, try and jam this further in. And I'm not worried about the glue getting all over the place right now. Epiphones are finished with polyurethane finish, if I'm not mistaken. The wood glue cleans up with water, and so the strings are plenty worn out at this point. And so I'll go in, I'll do all my things, make sure I get all the glue I need in there, and then the glue will clean up with just a wet paper towel. You can even try and let gravity help in this case. Just prop the crack open. Hopefully the glue is thin enough to flow down. It's definitely a delicate balancing act between propping open the crack and not cracking it even more. Looks like I'm getting glue on the stickers. I'm not sure they're gonna make it through this, but that's okay. All right, at this point I think gravity has worked in my favor. When I look down inside the crack, you can see pretty far into it. I don't know if I can get that here, but the glue is fairly far into it. And so now what I can do is just clean this up and use some clamping cauls, which I've just taken a couple blocks of wood and covered them with blue tape, just so that I can put even pressure on. And then I'll clamp this up, let it dry for a couple hours, and then come back and see what the result was. Now that it's under clamping pressure, you can see the glue squeeze out. And as I had hoped, the squeeze out goes pretty much the entire length of the crack. And so we'll let this dry and we'll get a strong joint. The headstock's been under clamping pressure for about 90 minutes, which should be plenty of time for the glue to have set up. So what I'll do is I'll take off these clamps, clean up any of the glue squeeze that I have, and then I will probably let it go for at least 4 or 6 more hours, just so that the glue can have more time to cure. And here's a great example of what I'm talking about. The glue has had time to set up in the joint. It's started to dry on the surface, but it's not completely dry, and so I can just use a wet paper towel to go in and clean this up. I keep a spray bottle of distilled water in my shop. It works perfect for things like this. The distilled part is, just a suggestion I've read when you're spraying, tone woods and things, so that you can raise the grain, but you don't introduce any minerals or anything. And distilled water is cheap enough where it's not worth having multiple bottles of different kinds of water. So just a couple of seconds with a wet paper towel. You can see the neck joint here. There's still definitely spider webbing in the finish and the paint. I'm not going to go back and do anything to try and smooth that out or cover that up. I don't know if it's an ethics issue, but just from the perspective of repairing this guitar, I don't want to imply that this guitar is mint in any way. Respraying it will totally kind of kill any profit margin I might have on this. And so we'll let this sit to dry for the glue to firm up. But we'll leave the spider web there as sort of to let you know that something has happened in the past, and just be part of the story of the guitar. It's been 5 days since I glued the headstock, and the neck has had tension for about 2 or 3 days. And at this point, the headstock looks to be completely fixed. The tuning is stable. Obviously, when you move the headstock, the crack doesn't move, which is the most important part. The only thing that you can really tell that something happened was in the headstock. I'll see if I can get this in here. You can see that the edge of where the crack started looks to be a little bit white. As I mentioned, I'm not going to do anything in terms of improving the finish, because at this point the guitar is only worth so much money, and once you start trying to mess with the finish, you can quickly open a bag of worms. And so I'll probably keep this guitar around for another week or so just to make sure it's completely stable. I'd love to keep it, but I got to send it on its way. And yeah, put a very aesthetically pleasing and great sounding instrument back into rotation. Thanks for watching.